to the Rogue Leader channel, the Innovators and Influencers series. We have a wonderful guest. It would probably take me a half an hour just to go through everything that she's accomplished. She's an author of multiple books worldwide. She's the founder of the Win Foundation, owner of Mrs. Globe. She is a human potentialist, and probably one of the only Renaissance women that I've ever met in my life that truly does amazing things in so many fields. So please give a warm welcome to Dr. Tracy Kemble. Tracy, welcome.
Thank you so much. So nice to see you.
Yeah, what the viewers may not know is that you and I have been friends since the 80s, but we haven't seen each other since the 80s until now. So this is like a little bit of a reunion and an interview combined. So it's I'm delighted to have you on and to see you.
Thank you. And you know what? So many congratulations to your show and everything that you're doing as well.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a fun space to be in. So let's there's so much to talk about. There's a book that you've written that seems to be resonating right now. I want to also talk about your new book, and we'll talk a little bit about your new campaign and let the viewers in on that. But first and foremost, right now, mindset is all the rage. Just like 3 years ago, disruptor was. Everybody's talking about mindset, but you've really been in that space for years and have been doing some remarkable work for your clients and followers in that area. So I'd love you to tell our viewers how you came to uncover the power of that, of that thinking in a certain way, that mindset, that how did you unlock that? What kind of life's journey experiences led you to that discovery?
Yeah, I think like most people who stumble upon something and then end up sharing it, I did it out of complete desperation to save my own life. I'm definitely a deep thinker. I could tend to live in my mind a lot, and for many years, in hindsight, I was actually suffering from something called almost like addictive thinking, where I just couldn't shut my brain off, and I had just reached a point that life just wasn't going well on multiple levels, financially, emotionally, relationally, all the areas of life that just prick us from the outside. And I began to stumble slowly across different works and teachings about the power of thought. And there's a great quote from the Hermetic traditions that say, when the student is ready, the teacher will present itself. And I was just really ready to learn how to find clarity and comfort and leadership within my own mind. And it began an entire journey, and that was probably almost 15-20 years ago. And I literally started, Paul, just like any type of an exercise routine. I said, okay, I'm going to commit to this for 30 days. And, in 30 days, if something changes, then great. And if not, I'll just go right back to my miserable ways that habit. And those 30 days passed, and just the discipline of learning how to be the navigator of my thoughts changed the trajectory of my life. And I have never stopped running down this journey of knowledge, which is just, it's just like such a pleasure to learn more and more about it every day. And 15-20 years later, I still crave the knowledge. And now, of course, what I'm doing is sharing that knowledge with my tribe and with people who are curious to learn.
Absolutely. Such a powerful experience. before we get more in depth into that, what do you say to the folks out there who are in your space, who are fearful, who are stuck? How do they? What's the first step they need to take? I guess we don't have to go
Well,
through the whole thing, but what should they do first of all?
I think that a few key elements that are important to know is that thought is everything. And this is not a Tracyism, this is quantum, this is science that backs it, because thought has energy. And good thoughts have higher voltage, bad thoughts have lower voltage. And when our goal is to live what I call above a certain emotional lifeline, which is certain living within the upper echelon of positive thought. And it doesn't mean that you can't have bad days, doesn't mean that you don't have dipping moments, but it's making a conscious effort. Because here's a memo from self-love normal land: we are in control of our thoughts are not in control of us. So at any time we do have the power to take ownership and management of our thoughts.
That's everybody repeat that. We
Exactly.
are in control of our thoughts. Our thoughts are not in control of us. And to me,
Exactly.
that just is, um, that's power, that's clarity. It's a wake up call that we think that we have those chains on us, and we can, the Eagles song, right? There's that Eagles lyric about we spend our life in chains, but we never realize we have the key, or some version of that. Sorry, I'm not in my old musician days, but we have that power. So everybody out there understand that. Let's talk a little bit about um, your new campaign and what it means. And I want to make sure I read it right. It's the feminine boss formula: become the power of your be.
I mean, the
What
boss of
is
your
that about?
bee. So, you know what it is, especially during COVID, I think the one thing that happened to the majority of those of us surviving it is we began to feel like we're losing our power. That many people who found their identity in what they did suddenly weren't able to do that anymore. People who thought that they were so healthy felt vulnerable to be able to protect themselves. People who feel like they have a right not to take the vaccine feel powerless to be stopped by government. I mean, there are so many levels that collectively, as a human race, we have this pandemic of powerlessness. and and I think that especially when it comes to women, it's very second nature, or a lack of training, that we easily just hand over our power. We hand over our power to other people. We hand over our power to pain. We hand our power over to circumstance. We hand our power over to bosses in the fear of a paycheck or not. So we're constantly just handing over our power. And when we hand over our power, inevitably we suffer. And what's coming to mind right now is, I can think of so many people who are back at work, and they're back working for that person that they just can't stand working for. And there they are, handing over their power. And whenever we hand over our power, as I said, we suffer. So one of the things, and I think that you know about me, is I primarily work with women, and I'm very passionate in a day and age where, society wants to, one white light vision we're all supposed to have, one unisex gender we're all supposed to have. And there's, this take offense if you celebrate, especially being like a strong, soft feminine in this day and age, but I'm a femininity preservationist. I think that for a woman to really step into her power, she needs to do it with the femininity, with the divine feminine energy. And people often say, well, what's a divine feminine energy? The divine feminine energy, for those of you who are spiritual, I would just describe it as more the female aspects of God's character, for the lack of better words. Where, and a good example that I like to use, which is so important during this day and age, is that a masculine energy is an energy that goes for things. I'm going to go for this. I'm going to make it happen. And the feminine energy attracts things. And it's much more of an effortless living. But that's just the feminine energy. And in a day and age where a lot of our power has been taken away and we don't know how to go after that, the attraction starts with what we're thinking about up here. So when I say about, the feminine boss, it's learning about how to use the feminine energy source to be able to take control over your life, because too many of us are being the sit down employee in our own mind.
Yeah,
We need to
yeah,
stand up and be our own boss, be
yeah,
the boss of your emotions, be the boss of your economics, be the boss of your dreams. So many people, they're like, I'm just, waiting for that right time to go after my dream. And I'm like, if you don't, hit the flag and say, go, it's time. And
yeah,
only the boss can do that. Only you
yeah.
can give yourself the go button.
The perfect time never arrives. So something that I learned, and this was during COVID, which I think, uh, kind of relates to what you're talking about, is that over the past year, I've kind of discovered that I'm going to use your phrase, when I was doing that masculine energy, which is go, 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 push, 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 not a lot happened. But when I sat back and allowed things to emerge to the law of attraction, good things happened. So what I
Exactly.
learned as a male is that there's probably moment, this is my, and pushback, but for me, there are moments to push, 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 but I found the power in sitting back, and I call it emergence, allowing things to emerge. And I had an abundance of great things happen when I took my foot off the gas pedal and just tried to quiet the noise in my head, that
Exactly.
voice that I hate, but he's there always, going,
So you've heard what I call that voice, have you?
no,
So on my Instagram channel every Friday, I have a show that I call 16 and Me. And who is 16? So many people say, who is 16? Well, I believe that within at least every woman, there's at least 17 personas. And we all know each other. We all get along fabulously, except for 16. And 16 is that harsh inner critical voice that has an ego out to here, fears and issues out to here, insecurities out to there. And the second that we give it the opportunity or the stage, it has the power to literally destroy us from within. In psychology, they call it the pathological critic. In Buddhism, they call it Maya. In Tracy land, I call it 16. And part of mental management is one day I realized the reason that my life was so in pain is because if there are in fact 17 seats at the emotional personality table within us, I was letting 16 take over about 15 of those seats. And it's not that we can always get rid of that critical voice inside of us, but as I like to say, princess gets one seat at the table, not
not
15.
15. Excellent.
Exactly.
Yeah, so good, and thank you for sharing that. Let's talk a little bit about your books. Um, the one that seems to be resonating, as you wrote a couple of years ago, I believe, how not to care what people think. And with COVID, I think that just, there it is, the four secrets of to staying true to yourself. So talk a little bit about the framework of that book, and why it's resonating with everybody so well. What are kind of the core messages in there that that you want to make sure people understand?
I think, referencing something that you said earlier about being chained down, that we, if we are not careful, can live an entire life trying to either please other people, earn their acceptance, sometimes even honoring other people. And what we do in that is we end up abandoning our life and our calling. And I was at a place in my life where I knew that a shift and change was coming. I knew that I was going through some sort of a transformation. And I had done so much of my internal work already, like on the trauma work and the recovery work and things of that nature. And what came up next on my evolution road was really having to release myself to my own journey. And the only way that I could really release myself to my own journey was to release any type of tethered to the expectations of other people. Because I had some pretty twisted up belief systems that a lot of us do. For example, it's my job to make other people happy. Or a big one for me was I was responsible for other people's emotions, other adults' emotions. No. And it's a really scary thing, though, to take that step of complete independence, because there's that fear of who's really going to love me on the other side. And so the book is just simply about four simple truths that I learned about how to untether yourself from other people and step into the journey of your life.
All right.
No, into the journey of self-love.
Hey, for me growing up, I was the mediator. I was the pleaser in my family. So I took care of my whole family. It was a Woody Allen kind of a family at dinner, Woody Allen film kind of a family. Lots of fun, but lots of interesting dynamics. We don't have to go there now, as you're not my therapist. But anyway, there's a new book coming, which is great news for all of us. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh my goodness, it's my a new book, and it's coming with a workshop as well with it, because I believe that sometimes holding on to the emotional arm of another person helps you get through difficult times. And I am, and it's something that first and foremost, everything that I write and in the programs that I come up with, I am the first person in the petri dish. And it is a book called Breaking Up with Anxiety. And it's 11 steps to relief. And this is a book that for anybody who is suffering from anxiety, and you don't want to live on Xanax, or you don't want to live on Valium, and you find that you're just jumping out of your skin, losing your peace, losing your clarity. It's the emotional prescription to healing from anxiety, because in this book, I don't deal with anxiety as an emotional disorder. I deal with it as a thinking disorder, where your thoughts are going nuts and you're shortly following.
Perfect. Very important. And when is it coming out?
It's going to be out around May 10th, I believe.
Across all platforms. I'm sure we can get it at your website.
Absolutely.
And I'll put your contact information at the end here, so don't worry about that. May 10th.
Thank
How
you.
exciting. Cannot wait. I know you're busy and you've got some pending things to do. So one more question.
Okay.
I wish we could chat for days and catch up, but this has been a blessing. And just wonderful to see you after 4 decades. We both changed a little bit physically, but I think the
I
soul's
know I'm
still the
57
same.
now, and you met me when I was what, 18, 19?
18, 19. Yeah. And you met me when I had hair. So, I think it's, I think it's an even trade. One last thing is this is a leadership channel. Dr. Tracy, what are your keys to good leadership? If you could tell our viewers,
I think that, there's not just one key, but I'll give you just a couple of things if you're people who are managing and working with groups of people. Number one, I believe that we need to be leaders, that and we don't need to be dictators, but we need to be leaders. Would be the first thing. The second thing is that whenever one of the things that leaders struggle with is the motivation of their crew. And one thing that I fully believe in is when people say, how many people work for your company? And I would actually say nobody works for my company, because each person that comes into my company, I make sure that they are pursuing their dream. Now, I provide them with the skills and the methodology of how I want my company to run, but it's something that's called the law of co-creation. And people will be naturally more inspired, more committed, more motivated to get up and execute a project if they feel that they have some sort of skin in the game, and it's their baby. So I believe fully as a leader that we need every department in your company needs to make sure that co-creation is taking place. Yes, you're the leader. Yes, it's your vision, but you surround yourself with people that have the same likeliness of your passion and your vision. And then the third thing that I would say, that as a leader, going back to the masculine, the feminine energy, is how do you operate a company, if the formula isn't do, when are you supposed to put that foot on the gas pedal? And the image that I'm getting in my mind's eye right now is the difference between sitting in traffic and wanting to speed versus being a race car driver and knowing, it's time to hit the gas now. And so the difference of that is from the word inspiration, that we can take divine inspiration steps, that when that inspiration hits us, that's when you put your foot on the gas, and that's when you begin to run with it. And you don't have to work hard, because that emotional fuel is coming from within. And this is how you avoid burnout on the workforce.
That's wonderful, insightful as always. One last question, I'll let you go. Darn.
Okay.
Where can people get a hold of you?
Well, you can find me at Instagram, I think would be the easiest thing, at Dr. Tracy Kemble. And it's Kemble, Kemble. And you can PM me. And I do private coaching. I have also so many of my great programs that are coming up, all about coming to the mental spa of mental wellness.
Great. Well, everybody watching, please reach out to Dr. Tracy. She's a wonder. As my grandmother would say, my old Ukrainian grandmother, she'd say, she's a mensch. Dr. Tracy is a mensch. It's been delightful talking with you. Let's not wait another 40 years to talk again.
Exactly.
I know we've been in touch the friendship has been there, but it's the first time I've seen you in such a long time. So I promise I won't wait another 40 years before reaching out. Have a great day, and thanks so much for spending some time with us.
You too. Lots of love.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Great. All right.
Thanks.